Hello everyone. This is Taku here, and I'm interviewing my sister. She is someone who has worked with teams for quite a number of years, and I'll allow her to introduce herself.
Thank you, Taco. My name is Tariro Rosastole. I have been with KPMG since 2014, a couple of years with KPMG Zimbabwe, and most of my years with KPMG UK. My current role is IT audit manager, and I've been in this role for about 5 years now. And in this role, I have led multiple teams on different audit engagements that I have carried out and I've helped them deliver those engagements. And the teams that I've led, they vary from sizes of three to big sizes of 12, 15 people.
Mm-hmm.
So it quite varies, but yeah, I've worked with different sizes of teams and I have enjoyed leading those teams, getting those audit engagements to completion.
All right. Thank you so much, Terry. Thank you for giving me your background about how you have worked with teams and how you have also been a leader and a team member. So I'm just going to ask you 12 questions. Please feel free to answer them in any way you desire and to the best of your ability and your personal experiences. There's no right or wrong answer here. So I'll start with this question. What factors do you believe have the highest or biggest impact on your team's satisfaction and overall performance?
So the key factor is communication.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen over the years, even as a team member and as a team leader, to be
Mm-hmm.
one with the most impact when it comes to achieving our goal as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other factor that comes to mind is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's part of communication, but as you communicate, there's a lot of listening that is involved.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that I've learned in being part of teams is you need to listen to understand, not to listen to respond.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
That's the
true.
biggest thing that I've seen when it comes to working with teams. And then the other thing, which is something that the company I work for is quite big on, and I've seen that it also helps us a lot in teams, is integrity. You
Mm-hmm.
know, in a team, you need to be honest enough to own up, especially when something goes wrong, or
Mm-hmm.
especially when you do not know. You lose nothing by putting your hand up to say, you know what, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's going on here. Help me,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not sure we're going the right way. Let's check this again.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the biggest thing that has so stopped us or helped us from making the biggest mistakes in audit engagements because somebody owned up, put their hand up and
Wow.
said,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure this is right, or I
Yeah.
don't understand what's going on, or I actually don't know what I'm doing here.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I get that. So because of that, I'm just going to find out from you, can you, because we're talking about team satisfaction here, can you describe a time when a team member exceeded expectations and what do you think drove their performance? Whether the team member is someone else or maybe it was you, but preferably a team member who exceeded expectations. What do you really think had driven their performance?
Oh, where do I start from? I've had a number of those
Mm-hmm.
along
Just
the
one
way.
would be
I'd
sufficient.
give I would
Mm-hmm.
give you just one
Mm-hmm.
example like you asked for.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a team member I worked with actually a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this team member was quite new to the UK. They just moved from Africa and everything was too new for them. You know how it is when you change environment and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But then one thing I saw from the team member, the one thing that helped them exceed expectations, besides being able to communicate, being able to listen and everything, is the fact that they were a courageous team member. They
Mm-hmm.
were not afraid of stepping up
Wow.
and picking up responsibilities that were more than or beyond their level.
Wow.
They were able to put themselves out there.
Mm, mm, mm,
And
mm.
because of that, they exceeded expectations because they did what they were expected to do at their level. But on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, they went above and beyond because they picked up responsibilities that were beyond their levels, managerial responsibilities, and even a couple of senior manager responsibilities
Wow.
that you'd not expect an assistant manager to pick up. But they did
Wow.
that. And
That's very
because of that,
impressive.
they, yeah.
And what do you really think drove their performance? Like, what do you think made them step up?
So, besides the fact that the organization that I work for encourages people to always step up, be proactive, and all that,
Mm-hmm.
I think as a person, they were hungry for growth.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm.
So, even if you have that environment that encourages you, there's still some people who do not feel,
Mm-hmm.
confident enough or do not even feel the need to step up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he was one person who was hungry for growth.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
wanted to learn as much as he could.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciated that this is one environment that was giving him the opportunity to be able to do those things.
Okay.
And because
Okay.
of that, it helped him exceed expectations.
Oh, nice. And how do you ensure that your team feels their contributions are directly connected to meaningful outcomes?
That's a very key aspect. There's
Mm-hmm.
something that we are always encouraged on, and that I continuously use as a manager in my team. That is called empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to empowerment, what it means for the organization that I work for is if someone is has something that maybe they have a question on, they are not sure of,
Mm-hmm.
and they're coming to ask a question about it, or they have something that they're just coming in to say, what, there is this thing that I've been thinking about,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about it? As a manager, I'm not encouraged to give them answers right away, what I think, or give them
Mm-hmm.
solutions
Mm-hmm.
myself, but I empower them enough to get to the solution themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
when they get to the solution themselves, I empower them enough to implement those solutions and see, you know, the outcome and how it's improving things or how it's solving the problem that was there before. So
Oh,
I think that's where that link comes through. If you empower people enough to
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
implement their ideas or to implement their proposed solutions,
Mm-hmm.
then they're able to see how the outcome, how it affects the
Mm-hmm.
engagement. And equally, it encourages other team members, they're seeing that happening. So
Mm-hmm.
and so proposed these ideas, so
Mm-hmm.
and so was able
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
implement it, and
Mm-hmm.
they saw through to the solution happening. Then they're also empowered enough as a team to be able to do the same thing, and they're able to see how it speaks to the achievements that are coming through in the engagements.
Oh, nice, nice. That's very. Oh, so yeah, you're actually saying what you're saying here is the more you make people liberal, the more they're like extending their what can I say? Maybe they extend their brains. Like you're not limiting them, you're allowing them to see how far they can go and also
Yeah.
like they can I say there's room to make errors and quickly
Mm-hmm.
correct. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's always room for that,
Mm-hmm.
because it's easy to spoon feed in an
Yeah.
engagement. It's easy
Mm-hmm.
for them to tell them, do it this way and this way and this way.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in a way, if you spoon feed, you are kind of stagnating them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowing them to think beyond what you're feeding them. But then if you give them room to have a think, you know,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think could work together to get to a solution instead of
Mm-hmm.
telling them do this and this,
Mm-hmm.
you actually find that you get to a bigger answer than what was achieved before, because people are always coming up with new solutions, better
Mm-hmm.
solutions.
All
So
right.
the moment you give people an opportunity to try out what they think, So long as still within the confines of integrity, quality, and everything.
Mm,
Try it out.
mm,
Go ahead. Do
mhm,
it. Let's
mhm,
do it. There's always room to make sure that if there is an error or if there's anything else to be considered, you can always, rectify it, make
mhm.
it happen the right way. So
Wow.
long as staying within the right confines, it's going to be fine. And you're actually going to find that there are better solutions for things because people are innovative. Believe me or not, you
Mhm.
actually meet people by spoon feeding them.
Wow. Have you ever noticed a change in team dynamics when certain members received recognition or rewards?
Oh yeah, very big change. You know what? People just do well. We are people, are humans, and the
Mm-hmm.
moment we are rewarded, the moment we are
Mm-hmm.
appreciated, we do better. That's how it is. I
Mm-hmm.
think that is the reason why the organization that I work for has things called performance development, performance management.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason why is there is to make sure that people are recognized where they're
Mm-hmm.
doing well. And the
Mm-hmm.
moment you put that in place where people know that if I do well, I'm going to be recognized,
Mm-hmm.
people are bound to do well because people love being recognized, be it it's a financial recognition
Mm-hmm.
or is
Mm-hmm.
being praised. I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell you this thing. There's this thing that was implemented in my organization that is called praise.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have used Teams before,
Yeah, I do use
the,
Teams.
yeah, so there is this function or feature that comes through via Viva Insights that is called praise.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is done well, you just go to the praise board and you
Mm-hmm.
praise them. Everyone within the organization will see it. That is more than 1,000 people, thousands and thousands of people. They see
Mm-hmm.
that you are being praised for something that you've done.
Wow. Wow.
So even if it's not financial recognition, that
Mm-hmm.
praise, it makes someone feel good. We
Mm-hmm.
also have, things that are called awards, quality
Mm-hmm.
awards.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you do well in an engagement, you excel, you come up
Mm-hmm.
with an innovative solution like we're talking about before that is used and solves a problem in an engagement, you get an award. And when you get an award for you could get a free annual leave day,
Wow.
just
Wow.
because you
Wow.
did well.
Wow.
So it's not limited to financial only because people may think, oh yeah, you should get a financial recognition and then you do well. Even when it's being recognized in front of people, being
Mm-hmm.
recognized through an award, getting an extra annual leave day,
Wow.
the moment people get those things, more and more people, I've seen more and more people eager to do well and even doing well because
Mm-hmm.
they know that there is a reward to it. So
Oh.
my sentiment is with indeed, if you praise people, if you reward them, they will do well.
Nice. And what do you think helps team members feel comfortable sharing new ideas or admitting mistakes? I think we talked about mistakes earlier on, but what do you think helps members of a team feel like this is a safe space, like to admit my mistakes or to share new ideas?
I think the key word is the word that you just mentioned, safe. You need to create a safe environment. An
Okay, like how
environment
do
where
you do that?
okay. Environment where it's okay to make mistakes. Do
Mm-hmm.
you know what stops people from feeling safe enough to admit I've done wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I was supposed to do it this way. I think I actually forgot to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's when you bash people for mistakes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The moment you bash people for making mistakes, or you don't work towards a solution, but you
Mm-hmm.
want to beat them down to
To the error
why
they
did you
have
do that,
made.
to the error they
Yes.
made, they won't feel safe enough
Mm-hmm.
to confess or be honest about
Mm-hmm.
the mistakes that they've
Mm-hmm.
made. It's hard for to accept that to accept every time a mistake is made and you say, okay, a mistake has happened, let's work towards a solution
Mm-hmm.
without making it a big sin. It's
Mm-hmm.
very hard
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you may tend to feel, oh yeah, the other team members are going to keep on making mistakes
Mm-hmm.
because I've said
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. But it actually works the other way around. The moment
Letting them
you
know it's okay. It's
yeah,
okay.
letting them know
Let's
that
look for a
it's okay to make
solution.
mistakes. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Let's find a solution. That's what's key at this moment in time. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find that more people will put their hands up and say, actually, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this is what has happened, and let's find a solution together. You avoid bigger mistakes by
Mm-hmm.
letting
Mm-hmm.
people own up to the small mistakes.
Yeah, I get that. And how do you adjust your leadership approach as a manager when managing different personalities within a team? I've been in teams where I've seen like the most diverse of personalities, the introverts, the extroverts, the ambiverts, like all types of personalities. And how do you adjust your leadership approach when managing all those different personalities in one team?
Now that is not easy
Mm-hmm.
because I work in a very diverse team with
Mm-hmm.
people from various continents,
Mm-hmm.
very, very different people, and it's not been easy. But one thing I can tell you, there's this tool
Mm-hmm.
that somebody introduced me to,
Mm-hmm.
and I found it to be very, very helpful. At some point, if you get a chance, maybe you might look it up. It's
Mm.
called Lumina Spark.
Oh,
So
nice.
this
Okay.
tool, how it works, for example, you and me, if
Mm-hmm.
we first go on the tool, we
Mm-hmm.
get our Lumina splashes.
Mm-hmm.
So our Lumina splashes, for us to get our Lumina splashes, we'll get the same questions. I
Mm-hmm.
answer them the way I think is correct. There's no right or wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
I just answer the questions, and I'm supposed to answer within a few seconds because that's when you're most honest. I shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then from that, I get a Lumina splash that tells me what type of a person I am,
Mm-hmm.
how I react to certain things and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also get your Lumina splash from answering with those questions, the way you answer them.
Mm-hmm.
And then between the two of us, we can share our splashes.
Mm, all
So
right.
when we share our splashes, it tells us, you know, when you're working with Taku is this kind of person, and you
Mm-hmm.
are this kind of person. So the things like this, you need to consider this when you're working with Taku. You also get the
Wow.
same
Wow.
things like
Wow.
this. You need
Wow.
to consider this when you're working with Tari.
That's very impressive.
So with that mixture of splashes, the tool tells you, what you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to consider and what Taku
Mm-hmm.
is like, and
Mm-hmm.
what you're supposed to consider and what Tari is like.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, that tool sort of has given me a hint as a manager that, you know what, when I'm dealing with Taku is this kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to consider XYZ. So you'll see that in our organization, most managers, including myself, we use that tool every time I get into an engagement with different people.
Mm-hmm.
I just do that Lumina splash with them, you know.
Mm, okay.
That's why I get to know them, They also get to know me. Tari is like this
Mm.
when it comes to this type of things. Taku is
Wow.
like this when it comes to this type of things. So even when we're interacting, I keep on getting reminded that, oh yeah, Taku is like this. So when she's doing something, I know that, okay, it's because of this. So this is how I'm supposed to react if I'm trying to show her this type of thing, or if I'm trying to praise it, this is how she reacts more. Or if I'm trying to show her where she might have missed the point, this is how I should approach her.
Wow. I
So yeah,
learned a lot. I
that's how it
learned a
works.
lot. I think I should actually talk about this too the next time we have a group discussion. We need to use this.
Do
Thank you so
consider it.
much
It's
for
nice to get
that.
to know
Thank you so much for
personalities.
that. We'll consider that. It's called Luminous Splash.
Yes, Lumina Splash.
Yeah, we will definitely consider it. And can you share an example of how you have navigated a situation where a team member was disengaged or unmotivated?
Yeah, I do have a few situations where I've
Mm-hmm.
had team members who are disengaged.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I have realized over the years is not no one wakes up and they want to be disengaged
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's true.
with in their work or whatever they do. There's
Mm-hmm.
always a root cause, something that's leading them to being disengaged.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking of an example where I had a team member who was disengaged, my team member he had his own personal struggles,
Mm-hmm.
and on top of that, he felt like he wasn't being no one could get him,
Mm-hmm.
even in the work environment. He was having his own struggles with I would say he was dyslexic,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously because of that there are tools that you need in the work environment to help you,
Mm-hmm.
get to the same
Mm-hmm.
level with another person who may not be dyslexic.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you find that in organizations we don't consider those tools enough, because not it's not a lot of people who are dyslexic, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that is known by everyone, or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to be able to help somebody to get to the point where they're able to deliver the same way somebody who
Mm-hmm.
is not dyslexic may be able to deliver.
Mm-hmm.
But he actually he needed help. So the first thing was me sitting down and talking to him, understanding what's happening and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
listening enough, because in the beginning when I started talking to him, it was, oh yeah, everything is fine, because most people, they don't open up upfront, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
also one
Mm-hmm.
of those people who do not open up
Yeah,
upfront.
and also maybe they want to avoid any kind of conflict that may come with that, right?
Mhm. But I had to keep on asking probing questions,
Mm-hmm.
until we got to, okay, this is the source of the problem. It takes me longer to do my work than the average person.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
takes me longer to get some things done. Even in meetings, it's not easy for me to be able to listen at the same time, write minutes as I may be expected to, because that's what is expected of my same level and stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
if only they knew right from the beginning, which they actually said later on, that if only I knew that it wasn't an issue, I just needed to talk to the right people. Because
Mm-hmm.
after that, we have a department in our organization that is called occupational health, and they're responsible for making sure that everybody has the right tools to make them deliver.
Oh, nice. Nice,
We went
nice,
to
nice.
occupational health, got the right tools to help them to deliver, got their recording plans, got the right software on their laptop that they needed to be
Mm-hmm.
able to do their work, got the right settings, the right colors on their laptop, because that is one thing that also affects dyslexic people.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're actually very good at their job. They're not disengaged. They are actually in it because they know that I have the full support of the organization with regards to where I need to be and how I need to get there. So,
Oh.
really, the main thing was sitting them down and asking them probing questions to the point where we actually go to the point of what is causing this and how do we address it.
Oh, lovely. And you see, I think it gets back to the first question that we had, where we talked about the key factors in motivation, and we're talking about communication and listening. It just took communicating and listening such
Mm-hmm.
that everything became solved. No, I understand, and thank you very much for that. What do you believe helps teams stay motivated and engaged over time, especially after completing major projects? I know, there are times when you have a certain project that's major, you're done, you have achieved all you wanted or even exceeded expectations. You're still the same team. What keeps you motivated? Because that which you wanted to achieve is done. Then how do you stay motivated and engaged over time, even after um completing a major project?
Well, the good thing about our organization is that you never run out of work. You always have big projects. But really,
Okay.
the thing is, we also have downtime sometimes. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the major
Mm-hmm.
projects, a
Mm-hmm.
number of major projects. We also have instances where it's really quiet.
Mm-hmm.
What we tend to do to keep people motivated and not bored is share your story. What
Mm-hmm.
went well on your
Mm-hmm.
engagement that you want
Mm-hmm.
to encourage
Mm-hmm.
other teams on,
Mm-hmm.
what didn't go so well that you want to tell other teams about, so that they do not have the same pitfalls. So
Mm-hmm.
we have that long cycle of, share your story. We
Mm-hmm.
actually have a board where we share our stories. We have lunch and learns,
Oh,
where
nice.
we share our knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
what you have learned and what you have gained insights on your engagements
Mm-hmm.
that could help other teams. So we have a whole cycle of lunch and learns during our quiet period, where
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to motivate other teams, teach them something new, or even if it's not something new, remind them of what they
Mm-hmm.
should consider that has helped you in your major projects, whether that has helped you exceed expectations or do so well in your
Mm-hmm.
projects. So I found that that helps team members stay motivated. It's nice to share something you've done, isn't it?
That's true.
And
That's
it's
very
nice
true.
to teach other people what to consider, not to, end up in pitfalls. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice to tell
Mm-hmm.
them, be careful about this thing. And I've seen that that helps us stay motivated up until the next project comes. And also, the other thing is because you're not the only person exceeding expectations, you're not the only person doing well or learning something, you also have other things to learn from other teams.
That's
So it's a
true.
whole cycle of having other people learn from you, you're learning from other
Mm-hmm.
people,
Mm-hmm.
and then, yeah, another project comes along again. So you're ready to implement those good things that you learned on your engagement or that you did so well in your engagement, but also other things that you've learned from other people that you didn't know about. So
Oh,
I think that helps keep people motivated up until the next engagement and then help them do well again in another engagement that is going to be coming.
all right. And in your experience, what forms of acknowledgement or feedback seem to resonate most with team members?
So for us, the main thing that works for us is giving each other feedback. We have something called engagement review forms.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a document that we have where you do your own self-assessment as a person. So let's say I've done a project with you, Taku,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say you were my senior manager and I was the manager on the engagement. So I'm going to complete that form, do an assessment of what did I think I did well, my own self-assessment, what did I think I did well, and what do I think that I did not do so well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent that form to you.
Mm-hmm.
And as a senior manager, you give me feedback on, okay, this is what I saw. You read my self-assessment, and then you give my feedback on, yeah, this is what I think you did well, and this is what I think you did not do so well. So be it something I'd mentioned, or be it something that you saw as a senior manager. But the whole point of having me doing my own self assessment first as a person is for me to, you know, introspect and
Mm-hmm.
assess myself, and then obviously get that feedback from you on what I did well and what I didn't do so
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
And that feedback is not limited to me getting feedback from somebody who is above me only. I
Yeah.
also get feedback from my junior team members on, as your manager, what did I do well and what did I not do well? Because feedback is not only downwards, it's both upwards and downwards. And I think that's the biggest thing, the key thing on getting feedback even from your junior team members, because you may think, oh yeah, I want to get feedback because I'm a manager, I want to get feedback from a senior manager, director, partner, because those are the people who are higher up than me, so they know how I'm supposed to improve as a person. But no, the people below you can help you improve as well. So you need both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the key thing being, assess yourself first. When you're working with that team member, what do you think you did well and what do you think you did not do well? And when you're working with that senior team member, what do you think you did well and what did you think you did not do well, before you get their views on what they think about you?
All right. Sorry, I'm going to rush a little on the last three questions
That's
because
okay.
of my Zoom time, but we
It's
still
fine.
have 9 minutes to go. What do you think makes some teams collaborate more effectively than others, even when everyone has similar skills?
Hmm. I think it goes back to the communication and listening.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
are all at, for example, we are all at KPMG because we are good at what we do, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's good. But what makes this team different from the other team is because, you know, what's the environment like on that
Mm-hmm.
engagement?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
what's the environment like on the other engagement? I've seen people who are very sharp not do so well on another engagement because of the dynamics of an engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they go to this other engagement and they do exceptionally well because of the dynamics of that other engagement. So I think team dynamics is something that affects how people, how will people do on the engagements? If the dynamics
Mhm.
are okay, it's a self engagement, people are prioritized, people are listened to, there's good
Mhm. Mhm.
communication, people
Mhm.
will do well. But if it's an engagement where people are being consistently trodden, no one is
Mhm.
listening, no one is empowered, you can't get an idea through, then you're not going to do well, no matter how good you are at your job.
All right. And you talked about being people from diverse backgrounds, but at the end of the day, you have a team culture, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
how does the overall team culture influence individual motivation levels? Have you observed any cultural shifts that significantly improved or hindered team performance, like your culture as a team? Because what I picked is how you lead your teams, like you empower them. But is there any way, like, I picked that's your team culture, empowering people, letting them communicate, giving them feedback. But have you observed any, like, how does that, well, I think you already answered how that culture influences individual motivation levels, right? But have you
Mm-hmm.
ever observed any cultural shifts that significantly improved or hindered team performance?
I think the fact that some people, for example, we are in the UK, I'm based in the UK,
Mm,
and some people, for example, people who come from Africa,
mm,
one thing I can tell you is there's a very big cultural shift when you're
mm,
moving from Africa to the UK.
mm,
People in the UK, they're big on networking.
mm, mm,
That's the working culture in the UK. But having we also worked in Africa, I know that we network, but in a different way.
mm,
We do not network the way people in the UK network.
mm,
And I found that some people they sort of pull back because it's not in our nature. I'll give you an example. In Africa,
mm,
one of the things in our culture is if you are in a big setting, you
mm.
do not, or especially with people who are older than you, and by older I'm talking about
You
in
don't
senior
talk.
positions. Yeah, you don't speak
I
unless you're being
know.
spoken to, right?
Mm,
But in the UK it's totally different, you expected to air out your views.
mm,
And that is one thing that I sometimes find that people who move from Africa to the UK, for a moment before they get that culture, it sort of hinders their growth
mm,
because
mm,
our culture is don't speak until you're being spoken to.
mm,
So people
mm,
tend to think, she doesn't know what she's doing. She doesn't say
mm,
anything
mm,
because she
mm,
doesn't speak at all. So no
mm,
matter how
mm,
good you're at your job, people don't tend to progress as fast as they should in the beginning
mm.
because
Yeah.
they do not have that culture in them. They don't know that in this culture, for you to be heard, you have to be the loudest voice in the room.
That's very
Uh,
true. That's
yeah,
very
I
true.
found
I
that
think I've also even picked that, like, from my side of teamwork. I resonate.
mhm,
I totally agree.
yep,
And then finally, how do you align team objectives with individual team members' personal or professional goals?
right. So what we do in our engagements is before you start an engagement, you're supposed to set goals as a person.
Mm-hmm.
So before I start my engagement, even as a manager, I'm supposed to set goals and say, on this engagement, what do I want to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to step up and, you know, run the engagement the way a director should run the engagement and, have the director of the team have nothing to do because I want to pick up all those responsibilities? What
Mm-hmm.
do I want to do as a manager? What do I want to achieve? What do I want my teams to achieve from this engagement? We set goals. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody from the least member of the team to the most senior member of the team, even the partner, we
Mm-hmm.
set goals before we start an engagement of what we want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So as the engagement progresses, it's our duties from manager going up. And
Mm-hmm.
also as an individual, it's your duty to assess whether the responsibilities that you're being given, do they align with what you want to achieve? And if they're
Mm-hmm.
not, you're supposed to put your hand up and say, hey, in my goals I said I wanted to pick up director responsibilities. I wanted to do specifically this, so I didn't get an opportunity to do that, or I haven't had that opportunity to do that yet. Can you give me that opportunity because I
Mm-hmm.
want to do
Mm-hmm.
that thing?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's something that we may put out there in the open. Is in the as the engagement starts, actually we have a kickoff meeting where everyone is asked, is this something that you really want to do? You know,
Mm-hmm.
that you really want to do as part of the engagement to grow as a person, to achieve your goals. And
Mm-hmm.
then as we are going to come up with a RASI for this engagement, we
Mm-hmm.
make sure that you're put there so that you can achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm.
So is that, open and open communication to say, put your hand up if you want to do something
Mm-hmm.
because it
Mm-hmm.
aligns with the
Mm-hmm.
goals, so that as we start the engagement, we already know that Tari is going to be doing this because that's what aligns with the goals.
Oh, thank you. That was very profound. Thank you so much, Tari, and thank you for your time.
No problem. You're
Yes,
welcome.
I am recording this and I'll surely give you a clip of this recording as well. And thank you for assisting me in my module. I appreciate your time. Have a lovely day.
Cheers too. Thank you.
Okay.